What time is it now? It's 9 o'clock in the morning Pacific time. Hope everybody is awake, or some of you are about ready to go to sleep, wherever you are in whatever part of the world. But thank you for tuning in. Appreciate it very much. We had a power packed week, I would say, here in the United States. A lot of changes with Trump taking office this past Monday on the 20th. And what we're going to do today is go over some of the executive orders. The title of today's podcast would be Sensible or Not. Do these things that Trump's doing, do they make sense or do they not make sense? Is Trump on a revenge tour, or is he really trying to set the America that we know straight again? You know, some of you are going to believe the former, some of you are going to believe the latter. But we're going to go through his executive orders. And like I said, just ask that question. Do these things make sense or do they not? I will say this, you know, for the first time in a long time, we saw a president get into office and fulfill every campaign promise that he made on the trail. So, like him or not, he's doing exactly what he said he was going to do. And I think for that, it's very commendable because we're not used to that. There's no question there's different tone, not only in the country, but in the world. I've been reading headlines and papers from all over the world, those that I can understand that were in English. And there's a different sense of feeling in the entire world. The Trump effect is real, people. You can't deny it. And to deny it would be delusional. It's happening. There's no question about it. He certainly stirred things up over the past 5 days. But, for me, I believe it's in a positive direction. I really do. I think that the executive orders, most of them, and we're going to go through them, they just make common sense. But more than anything else, I think they are what the people demanded in the mandate they gave him on Election Day, November 5th of last year. So, but let's go through them. And I want to see in the comments what you believe. You know, people, it doesn't pay to get silly and make ridiculous statements, but, we're trying to accomplish something here. My goal here over the next couple of months or whatever time, I spend on it is to get out the truth of things. We have a country that went through some very difficult times in the past 4 years, radically changed in many ways. And I want to get the truth out from my perspective. Some of you may disagree with me. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to tell you what I feel. If you think I'm wrong, that's okay. You can voice that opinion. We can debate. There's nothing wrong with good, respectful debate. I welcome that. I'm not always right, that's for sure, but I have a perspective on things, that have been driven from my 73 years on this earth, and I'm going to voice them to you, and we'll see where it goes. So I wish everybody a good weekend. I hope you're having a good weekend and, you're enjoying yourself, whatever it might be. I've had some very interesting guests. I just want to prepare you. Right now, Big Homie is on my YouTube channel, and he's talking about a very possible terrorist link to the fires in Los Angeles. And Big Homie's credible, in my opinion. We vetted him, and he has some good insight into what might have happened in Los Angeles. Not saying it's definite. We don't have definite proof, but there's a lot of circumstantial evidence that can lean towards what Big Homie is saying, whether it be terrorist action from Al Qaeda or another group. Remember, we have a number of terrorist cells that are right now existing in America, thanks to Biden and his open borders. They're here. The head of the FBI, he said it, Ray said without a doubt, it's not a question of if we're going to have a terrorist attack, it's when we're going to have a terrorist attack. And remember, New Orleans on New Year's Day, there was terrorism tied to that. He was radicalized. He was an American citizen, but he was radicalized, no question about it. The same with the Tesla in front of Trump's hotel in Vegas, a radicalized U.S. citizen. So there are terrorist cells in this country right now that are seeking to radicalize American citizens to do their damage. So what he says about the fires, look into it, see what you think. I had a very interesting conversation with Rudy Giuliani. And for those of you that like my take on certain mob things that happened, you're going to enjoy that with Rudy. It'll be coming up in the next couple of days. It was different for me, people. I got to tell you, it's the first time that a former mobster, a member of the Colombo family, and a defendant in a trial ever sat down and interviewed the U.S. attorney that prosecuted him. It's a first, so we had a good time. He was pretty honest, I think, and open about things. And of course, Rudy did talk about the Biden crime family And, he's been vindicated, no question about it. He was the one that came up with the term, the Biden crime family, after investigating him. Nobody knows the RICO statute better than Rudy Giuliani. Trust me, he was the one that learned how to implement it against organized crime. So he knows the statute inside out and upside down. And he was the one that said initially, way back when, it was the Biden crime family, and it's a RICO indictment in the waiting, no question about it. So it was an interesting conversation. I also spoke with two, and this was terrible, very, very terrible, two American citizens that were pardoned as a result of the January protests. And well, you got to hear their story. It'll be coming out very soon, probably Tuesday of next week. But you got to hear what they did to these people. It's just terrible. And thank God that that kind of nonsense is over with. They destroyed people's lives, basically. These were two people, never had a record in their life, never arrested. One was a Marine veteran whose work right now is going after, helping to free children that have been trafficked. And he got caught up in this whole thing on January 6th. And, decide for yourself when you hear their stories, really. And the other person they almost killed him because he was dying of cancer. It's just terrible, but I don't want to ruin it. You got to listen to it. So that's it. Let's get into now. In the comments today, I'm going to speak for about a half an hour. We're going to go through these, executive orders from Trump, and then I want to read your comments. And let's get some good dialogue going, people. Let's talk about these things. For those of you that disagree with what Trump is doing, tell us. We want to hear it. We want to know why. For those of you that think that these executive orders that he immediately put into place are wrong, tell us. We want to know why. And we'll talk about it and discuss it. Nobody's going to ridicule you. Nobody's going to, come after you. We want to hear what you have to say because it's important to know what Americans are thinking. But look, people. He has a mandate to do certain things. He was elected on that platform, and he's going and he's doing it, and I got to give him credit for that. Let's talk. Okay, these are, we're going to go down in order for most of the executive orders that I know about. Number one, designate an invasion across the southern border of the United States, a move that triggers certain executive branch powers. So Trump says his cabinet shall take appropriate action to repel, repatriate, or remove any alien engaged in the invasion. Basically, he's shutting down the border. He said he was going to do that. The American people gave him a mandate to do that. Those people that are suffering in their cities, both financially because of the aid, the amount of aid that's going to illegal migrants, and those that are suffering because of the crime that's being committed in their cities. We have lost lives as a result of criminal migrants coming in here and taking advantage of our citizens, murdering them, raping them, robbing them. It's happened. So Trump said, okay, I'm going after these people. We're closing the border. We're going to stop. In the last few days, I believe he's arrested over 600 or 700 migrants from cities across the country. All of them that he's arrested to this point have criminal records. One criminal, I think you saw it, it was all over the news. He had 17 convictions. Now, mind you, 17 convictions, not arrests, 17 convictions. And as he was being led into the paddy wagon, he said, F Donald Trump and thank God for Joe Biden. Now, I don't know how Biden feels about that, but you don't want somebody with 17 convictions that's illegal in this country praising Joe Biden and knocking Donald Trump. I think that says it all, people. That says it all right there. But he's rounding these people up. The stay in Mexico has been reinforced. I believe they had 4 plane loads of migrants that were deported out of this country into Mexico yesterday, and other plane loads went to other parts of the country where these people illegally came from. So that's one good thing. If you disagree, put it in the comments. Let me know. We'll read them afterwards. Number 2, he's allowing U.S. military service members to act as immigration and border enforcement officers, a part of Trump's promised mass deportation program. He's got surveillance planes flying over the border. He's bringing military across the border to seal it off, and he's going to start the process to rebuild the wall. He's doing exactly what he said he's going to do. And people, this is not going to be permanent. He's got to get rid of the criminal element here. He's got to get hold of these I've heard numbers from 8 million to 20 million. Who knows how many people have came in over the Biden administration? We don't know. But he's got to get a hold of it. He's got to find out who's here. And if there are terrorists here, we got to know why. We got to find these things out. So hopefully Trump is handling that now properly. I don't think people should be offended by this, but let's hear what you have to say. He is effectively closing the border, and that, from my point of view, keep going for it, man. That's what I want. He's redefining birthright citizenship under the 14th Amendment. A Trump order asserts that a child born in the U.S. is not a citizen, one, if the mother does not have legal immigration status or is in the country um, legally but only temporarily, and two, the father is not a U.S. citizen or a lawful permanent resident. The order forbids U.S. agencies from issuing any documentation recognizing such a child as a citizen or accepting any state document recognizing citizenship. The order is already being challenged in federal court. I'll say basically what Trump is saying is just because you were born here to illegal migrants, that doesn't make you a citizen. This is a bit controversial. I can understand, the challenge to it. I don't have a strong feeling either way. I think that, I don't want to see young people being penalized because their parents did the wrong thing by not going through the proper process to become a citizen or become nationalized here. I don't want to see a young person or a child be, penalized for that. But I think what Trump is trying to do, he's trying to get the mother and the father to go through the right process. He's not saying he's deporting them. He wants them to go through the right process so that they become naturalized, they become a citizen the right way. That's how I'm seeing this. So I can understand the challenges to it. I believe that if a child is born here and he is, I would like to see that person become a citizen, but do it the right way. Look, people, we're a nation of laws. You have to enforce the laws. You have to abide by the Constitution. So if Trump is trying to get people to do that, I don't see any harm in it, and I hope it works out because we would like to see a child born here in the United States become a citizen. That's my opinion on that. Okay, number three, prioritize continued construction of a wall and other barriers along the U.S.-Mexico border. Common sense, we need that. We can't have a porous border where people are just sliding in. I live in Southern California. God knows how many people came across in San Diego, just porous border, no enforcement, people coming in. And again, always remember this. According to the FBI, Chris Wray, who's not a fan of Trump's at all, he said there are terrorists in this country. There are terrorist cells in this country. There will be another attack. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. So in order to protect us from that, we have to close down the border. Okay. Direct the Attorney General and Homeland Security Secretary to create Homeland Security task forces in all 50 states comprising of state and local law enforcement agencies charged with ending the presence of criminal cartels, foreign gangs, and transnational criminal organizations. What's wrong with that? Any gangs, any illegal enterprises in this country, he wants to get rid of them. They got rid of Cosa Nostra in a big way. They got rid of the mafia. Why are these groups any better? I always said this, if they use the amount of enforcement and the amount of resources to go after these criminal gangs that are out there now that they did with Cosa Nostra, they'd clear it up. They crippled us, no question about it. They can do the same for them, and even more effective because they're not as organized as we were. They haven't been here as long as we were. They haven't been set up and entrenched as long as we were here, so they can do it. What's wrong with that? Do you want these criminal organizations living in your cities and your towns? What's wrong with that? Nothing. People that are opposing this, I just don't understand. Democrats, I don't get it, but they're opposing it. Okay, require collection of DNA samples and fingerprints from immigration detainees under the 2005 federal law. It's a law. Understand what Trump is doing, he's just enforcing laws that are already on the books. He's not creating new laws. He's enforcing laws. Now, some people have a different interpretation of those laws, so they're going to challenge Trump. They're going to challenge the interpretation of the law, but he didn't create new laws. These executive orders are not new laws. Only Congress has the authority to create a law. What Trump is doing, his executive orders are enforcing laws that are already on the books, so you understand that. Okay, he wants to forbid so-called catch and release, which allows some migrants to remain in the U.S. while awaiting their immigration court proceedings in favor of detention and deportation of anyone in the U.S. illegally. This was the whole farce that Biden created. You get to the border, you go on an app, you get a court date, and then you go into the country. Most of the people didn't report for their court date. I mean, it was stupid. It was ridiculous. It was his way of trying to, again, turn every state blue. We saw evidence of that from that illegal migrant that with 17 convictions as he was being led into the paddy wagon. Hey, God bless Joe Biden, F Donald Trump. That's exactly what he was trying to do. Make this a blue country, period. He failed. Okay, direct Homeland Security to immediately devote resources and secure contractors, construct, operate, control, or use facilities to detain removable aliens. What he's doing, he's enforcing in every way possible, closing the border, getting a handle on who's here illegally, and removing them. That's what he's doing, people. So all of these executive orders are leading to that. He's just strengthening his resources to be able to do that and to rid this country of illegal migrants. That's what he's doing. And I'm going to keep going because all of these are for that. Any person seeking a visa or benefit, okay. Repeal a Biden order requiring, okay, here's something different. There's going to be some pushback on this. Repeal a Biden order requiring planning for the effects of climate change on world migration patterns. I don't know what the hell that means, quite honestly, but anything that Biden put in place with respect to climate control, we have to look at very carefully because there's billions of dollars being spent on this. And when billions of dollars are being spent on a program, it means it's taking it away from another program. So what he has to do is look at this carefully and see, is this real? Is this the waste of time? What is it about all of this climate change? People are blaming the fires in LA on climate change. We've had fires in LA for thousands of years. That's just the terrain. That's the way it is. That's the Santa Ana winds. Has nothing to do with climate change, people. Nothing whatsoever to do with that. And that's proven by the pattern of fires that we've had over hundreds and thousands of years. So he's got to get a handle on this. Can't be wasting money on programs that bring back nothing. We can't do that. So direct the Secretary of State and the U.S. diplomats effectively to threaten sanctions against any nation seen as reluctant to accept and facilitate the return of its citizens. What he's saying, you allowed these people to come into our country illegally, we're sending them back to you. And if you don't accept them, we're going to sanction your country. We're going to force you to accept them because they're your citizens. They're not ours. They're here illegally. You ridded your jails and every place else. You let them go, and we're not taking them. So if you don't want to take them back, they're your citizens, well, you're going to pay the price. I don't see anything wrong with that. Changes to vetting visas. Okay, I'm not. He's changing the visa policy to vet the visas. I'm not going to get into that. It's all having to do with the border. Okay, this is important. Direct the Attorney General and others to deny federal money to so-called sanctuary cities the administration sees as interfering with federal immigration enforcement, with the caveat that the Trump administration pursues action to the maximum extent possible under the law. In other words, these sanctuary cities, one in Chicago, the mayor of Chicago, another, I think, in Pennsylvania, where they're saying they're going to resist the deportation of anybody that's illegal in their city or their state. They're going to prevent it. They're not going to allow ICE to do their job. They're not going to allow Homeland Security to do their job. And the mayor of Chicago and the governor of Pennsylvania, I believe, said, "Oh, you can arrest me. I'm going to protect the people here." Yeah, arrest them and let them spend a couple of days in jail and then see how tough they are. Everybody's so strong, he probably knows he's not going to be arrested, so he can throw his chest out and talk that way. Put him behind bars, throw him in the hole for a couple of days. Let's see how tough he is then. All of these, wannabe tough guys now, all of a sudden, that they're going to go to jail to protect what? To protect illegal migrants in their towns, in Chicago especially, where they're wreaking havoc along with the gangs and everything else that's out of control. That mayor has lost it. His own people are uprising against him. I doubt if he's going to be elected again. And if he is, I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. But I mean, come on, stop. If you got illegal migrants in your city, they should be deported. They should be arrested, especially the criminals. So stop. Trump is enforcing that. Okay. Pause distribution of federal money to non governmental organizations supporting or providing services, either directly or indirectly, to remove illegal aliens. So, in other words, if you're harboring illegal aliens and you're getting paid by the government from whatever your organization is allegedly doing, that's going to stop. He is covering every base. He said, he promised the American people he was going to close that border and get rid of the criminals and illegal migrants in this country. He's going to force them, out of the country, and he's going to force those that want asylum here to do it legally. Nothing wrong with that, people. Nothing. Yes, we are a country where we welcome migrants to come in here that are seeking asylum to do it the right way. That's all he's saying. Come in here, do it the right way. That's all. You can't just have people flooding into the country. You haven't vetted them. You don't know who they are. You don't know what they're doing. And yes, they are taking jobs away from American citizens. Yes, they are taking services away from American citizens. What Trump is saying is it's America first from this point on. Our citizens come first, not illegals. Our country comes first, not, alien countries. It's America first. He promised that. The people voted for it. And that's what he's delivering. International trade, business, and the economy. Broadly direct all executive agencies to tailor their policies to reduce consumer prices. Okay, he said he was going to lower the inflation. That's what he's doing. Trump wants a progress report from a top White House economic advisor every 30 days. So he wants to monitor how prices are coming down, and he wants it every 30 days. And if he doesn't see it happening, then he's going to look to find out why, and he's going to implement new policies to get the economy where it's supposed to be and reduce inflation. It was another promise that he made. So he's fulfilling it. Begin review of the U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement, Trump's first administration rewrite of NAFTA, with an eye to renegotiate in 2026 or sooner. He wants to make sure that the trade policies are for America's benefit first. That's what he's saying there. Begin establishment of an external revenue service to collect tariffs, duties, and other foreign trade-related revenues. Trump has said this from his first administration. He don't want America to be ripped off anymore. He said NATO was ripping us off, WHO was ripping us off, and it's going to stop. Everybody's going to pay their fair share. America is not carrying the whole world anymore. Nobody's going to take advantage of us. We need money here at home. And he's not going to allow other nations to take advantage of us. No, nothing wrong with that, in my opinion. This one I love. Order the review of fentanyl flows into the U.S., specifically from Canada, Mexico, and China, and make recommendations, including potential tariffs and sanctions. Look, we know that fentanyl was coming in from China through Mexico and the cartels into the United States. Fentanyl is a killer. And we have to get a hold of this, people. We absolutely have to. Biden just let it go. He didn't care. Let it go. He gave some BS speech one time on how he's got, services in place to recognize when fentanyl is coming in. He didn't care. He didn't know what he was talking about. Somebody in his staff wrote it out and he repeated it. That's all it was. We have to stop the deadly flow of fentanyl coming into this country. It's destroying human lives. It's killing young people. We got to end it. And Trump, thank you for that. Begin review of U.S. trade dealings with China to consider new and increased tariffs. As a candidate, Trump threatened Chinese tariffs as high as 60%. What I believe these tariffs are, they're Trump's way of negotiating with these countries to get a better deal. That's it. He throws it out there. He makes them know that he is serious. Come to the negotiating table. Let's work it out. Maybe we don't have to do this. It's a negotiation tactic. Listen, I wrote a book on negotiation. I understand what Trump's doing. And sometimes you got to come in strong, and then let's see how it works out. It brings people to the table because nobody wants tariffs. We don't want them here either. But if we have to do it, we have to do it. Okay. Suspend U.S. participation in the global tax deal, an international agreement intended to set a minimum corporate tax globally to prevent multinational corporations from avoiding taxation altogether. He wants to suspend that. I'm not going to get into the politics of that. I'm not too sure about it. But again, I think all of these are designed to keep our money here and not to be taken advantage of by foreign nations. That's it. bar U.S. government officials from pushing social media companies to combat misinformation and disinformation. Trump's order states that such previous efforts infringed on the constitutionally protected speech rights of American citizens. People, we know the Biden administration did that. It's not a secret anymore. Zuckerberg came out and said it. He was threatened by the Biden administration. We know it. We know during that administration, the progressive government, the Biden administration, tried to silence those that disagreed with him. We know they did it with the laptop. We know that they did it continuously. We know that they lied with the 51, intelligence agents that signed a bogus letter stating that the laptop could have been Russian misinformation. We know they lied to us. We know they tried to silence us. And we know this in the past week or the weeks leading up to Trump's inauguration. And now people are not afraid to talk anymore. People are not afraid to talk out and speak out against DEI that was forced upon them. A lot of these major companies now are dropping DEI because we don't want DEI hirees in positions that they're not qualified for. We've seen it happening, but now people were afraid to, before people were afraid to say anything. Now they're speaking out against it because Trump has lifted that coercive veil that was hung on America. You could see it, you can feel it. It's like a weight being lifted off of our shoulders, people. Nothing wrong with that. I'm all for it. There should not be censorship of disagreeing thoughts and disagreeing dialogue. There should not be. People are allowed to express themselves peacefully, and we shouldn't stop them. And the government has no business whatsoever going to social media platforms and trying to silence them and threatening them, according to Zuckerberg. It's got to stop. And Trump has stopped it. He promised he would, and he stopped it. Energy. I'm not going to read it. He said he was going to drill, baby, drill, baby, drill. That's exactly what he's doing. His executive orders. He's opened up that territory in Alaska for drilling and for excavation. He's doing it. The only way this country comes back is through energy production. That's it. According to Trump and others, we are the richest energy producing country in the world. If we want to be, if we choose to be, and that's what he's going to do. He's going to bring us back. And you know what? The world moves on energy. That's it. If it wasn't for energy and oil, you wouldn't have an Iran. Iran would be broke to the highest limit. The same way with Russia and some of these other countries. Why would we allow them to get strong and weaken ourselves with this green energy deal and being forced to have electric cars and being forced to have a certain washing machine in our house, forced to have a certain dryer in our house? Who the heck are these people in office to tell us what kind of washing machine we have? Unless the washing machine was killing somebody, which it's not. It's been around since it's been invented in the 1900s. I mean, this is ridiculous. Trump is stopping it. That's all he's saying. We're going to produce energy here. We could be the richest oil producing and energy producing country in the world. And that's what's going to make our economy go up. And that's what he's doing. He said it. Okay, restore Trump administration rules on hunting and trapping in national. Roll back other Biden era limits or regulations on fossil fuel extraction on federal lands. He said he was going to do that. He was going to release the ability to mine for this oil that we have here. He's doing it. Okay, listen to this. Re-engage a legal and regulatory battle with California state government over water routes from the Sacramento-San Joaquin Delta. Trump wants to override fish and wildlife protection efforts to route more of the water to Central Valley and Southern California. People, it's becoming quite evident that one of the unpreparedness, one of the horrible consequences of not having enough water flow into the LA basin was that the firefighters were unable to use the fire hydrants properly because there was not water in them to fight these fires. And Gavin Newsom was warned about this back in 2019. His video, Trump telling him this. He was also telling him about the brush fire that had to be removed. He ignored it. Our governor did nothing. And as a result, he was ill prepared to deal with these fires in LA. So Trump is saying, the heck with the fish. Listen, Is it going to affect anybody's life if these fish are extinct or they're less than what they are now? You want to protect the fish and put American citizens at risk for these deadly fires? That's exactly what happened. So Trump's saying, no, we're not going to let that happen anymore. We're going to override that. The heck with the fish. We need the water where we need the water to be prepared to fight these firefighters where hundreds of thousands of people just lost their homes. Yes, families. They lost their homes. Devastating. The whole rebuilding process. Who knows how long it's going to take? It's a horrible thing. And by the way, give Trump credit. In his first week, he visited Carolina and then crossed the country on the same day to sit with the people here in California that have lost their homes and been devastated by the fires. He did this in 1 week. Biden, how long did it take him to get to Carolina? What did he do with FEMA? Nothing. Trump is saying he wants to get rid of FEMA because they haven't done a thing really in Carolina to help. They've taken too long. He said maybe in California here, he's not going to engage FEMA. If they're going to give him money, he'll give it directly from the federal government. I mean, we have to stop all of these government agencies that are doing nothing, wasting our time, wasting our money. I love this one. I'm sorry, people. You can get mad at me, but I love it. Require the U.S. government to recognize that there are only two genders, male and female, on passports, visas, global entry cards, and all other forms and documents, and in all programs and communications. That's it. Yeah, can't put, other. You can't put whatever the other thing you're going to put. Can't put X. You're either a male or a female by birth. That's what's got to be on any government document. That's the only thing that's going to be recognized. And if you have anything else, if you try to put that on a government document now, it's going to be rejected. He's been rejecting them left and right. If you have it on there already, you have it on there. I don't know what he's going to do to change it. But no more passports, no more visas, nothing, unless you're male or female. It's the right thing to do. I'm sorry. Since the beginning of time, since Adam and Eve, it's been male and female. You can't just arbitrarily change your gender. Just because you say something is different doesn't mean that it really is. And I'm sorry. And I think he's going to crack down on having males in females' dressing rooms, having males compete in female sports. Why not? I think the greater part of America doesn't want that. They were just afraid to talk about it. Well, they're not anymore. Trump has lifted that veil of persecution off people, prosecution off people. You could say it now. He's going to dissolve the White House Gender Policy Council, repeal Department of Education guidelines on Title IX concerning transgender rights and various documents advising schools on how to support and protect LGBTQ persons. Too many resources have gone to that, people. It seemed to me that there was a real effort to try to get the population to resist being male or female. They put so much emphasis on protecting and promoting LGBTQ rights. Why? Why all of a sudden? Why? Why are they encouraging people to not be a male or not be a female and change their gender? What's the ultimate goal? What's their plan? What are they trying to accomplish? Think about it. I've said this 1,000 times and I'll continue to say it, and you can disagree with me, but I believe it to be true 100%. The breakdown of the moral fiber, the moral core in America, the breakdown is attributed to the breakdown of the family. That's it. They don't want families to be mother, father, and kids. They don't want it. They want to change. They want to allow little kids at 7, 8, 9, 10 years old to say, I'm not a male or a female, I'm something else. Why? What's the motive? What are they trying to do to our society that's thrived for thousands of years? Why are they trying to change genders? Why are they trying to promote LGBTQ to the level where they want to teach it in schools? Why do they want to teach sexual orientation and gender transition in schools? Why? What is their motive? It's not good, people. It's not good. Obama said he was going to fundamentally change America. Okay, but what did he mean by that? It seems that, according to what we've seen in the Biden administration, he wanted to change it in ways morally and every other way. It makes no sense, people. It really doesn't. It's sad. It makes no sense. Thank God Trump is bringing reality back to people. And now people are not afraid to talk about it. Require each agency to establish their own Doge team of at least 4 people to work with Musk's operation. What he's saying there is he wants 4 people in every agency to look at the finances and look at the structure and look at the what the agency is all about, and are they fulfilling their required duties. And if they're not, they're to report back to Doge, because maybe they'll eliminate those agencies and save taxpayers money. You know how many wasted government agencies there are out there? I should do a video on that. If you see some of the agencies that are taking taxpayer money for the most nonsensical things you've ever heard of, that really make zero sense. All they are pet projects for people in different cities and for politicians. They got to get rid of all of this. We got to get a handle on the wasted taxpayer money. Make it easier to fire federal workers by reinstituting an executive order from the first Trump administration, which was later repealed under Biden. The latest Trump policy adds provisions that state that federal employees and applicants are not required to personally or politically support the current president, but must faithfully implement administrative policies, understanding that failure to do so is grounds for dismissal. We can talk about that. We can debate that. I don't think that's important here this morning. Let me see. I want to see if there's anything. Repeal multiple Biden orders and directives on COVID-19. I don't even want to get into that. What they put us through, this administration, for COVID, the fact that Biden preemptively pardoned Fauci, disgusting. Fauci's got more blood on his hands. He's more of a liar, deceitful. He's horrible. He should be prosecuted. He should be in prison. He's got blood on his hands. Millions of Americans died because of his policies, his lying about funding the Wuhan lab, where this horrible virus leaked from. He was funding it. It was against the law to fund it. He got around it somehow. Obama, it was against the law to fund that type of program on American soil. So what did he do? He put it over in China. He funded it there. And it was the virus that they lied about, remember, it came from a bat or whatever. No, it came from that study out of the Wuhan lab. And Fauci promoted it, and he used taxpayers' money to pay for it, and millions of people died around the world, and well over 1 million here in the United States, and people were separated from their loved ones while they were dying. They couldn't even give them their last words, their last hugs, their last embraces, because Fauci wouldn't allow it in the hospitals. He directed the hospitals, you got to keep these people away because it's too contagious. And it was a lie. It was a lie. He closed down schools. It was a lie. He forced people to get vaccinated. It was a lie. He forced people to close their businesses. It was a lie. He had military people, thrown off their jobs with no back pay because it was a lie, because they wouldn't get the vaccine. And what did Trump do? He reinstated that. All the military that lost their jobs are going back to work with their back pay, their full back pay. God bless Donald Trump for doing that, because those people were released on a lie by Fauci, and Biden, who supported him in every which way, gave him a preemptive pardon. Because probably if they prosecuted Fauci, he would blow the lid on Biden the same way Biden preemptively pardoned his family, because in case any one of them got in trouble and were prosecuted, it would go back to Joe Biden, who was the leader of this cartel, I'll call it, to drain money from foreign nations, using and peddling his vice presidency. We know he did it. It's so obvious right now. Biden was a horrible, horrible human being. Still is. Lied till the moment he got out of office. Lied through 4 years. And all the people that supported that lie, don't ever trust these people again. Don't ever trust them again. And I'm telling you right now, people, hold me to it. If I catch Trump in a lie that's hurting people, America, you're going to hear it. You're going to hear it from me. I won't cover it up. I promise you that. I haven't seen any evidence of that yet. But if I see it, I'll talk about it. The chips will fall where they may. My issue here is that what he did, such destruction, Joe Biden did, in his entire administration for 4 years in this country, the destruction that he caused, the deaths that he caused, the inconveniences that he caused, the people losing their homes that he caused. It's terrible. And I'm not going to stand by silently and watch that, not while I have a platform. So